just make sure you're checking in on health, wealth, and love. If we said health, wealth, and love specifically, are you trending in the right direction? And are you having consistent days? Because I would argue that consistent 50% days are better than a spotty 90%.
One of the reasons why I'd rather you do a 70% consistent day is because when you're shooting for perfect, you can't do it consistently. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And if it's not sustainable, it's not going to work. It's just going to crush your self-esteem again.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1511. What does purpose mean to you? It was a very free-flowing conversation. Today, for episode number 1512, consistent 70% days are better than spotty 100% days.
Says who, Kev?
Lori Harder said it, and you said she might have said consistent 60%. I don't remember. I would trust your memory far more than mine. But when we had Lori Harder on for episode 34, I remember she said this, and this is something I have thought of fairly consistently for the last however many years it's been since then. Last night...
But did you only think about it 70%?
I thought about it 100%, 70% of the time.
Nice.
So whatever that is, 185% of the time. Last night, Taryn was out, and I was having one of those nights of reflection. So I was looking back at old clips, and I went back to the first clips we ever made, and I even saw one of the clips of Lori. And it really highlights the fact that when I look back, two things come up. One, I don't know how many 100% days I've ever strung together. I'm sure I had some really, 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 really good days. But by definition, I don't know if there really is a 100% day. Because we could do another episode after this if we had to. We're not going to because we don't have to. So 100% is kind of subjective. That's part one. And this is the takeaway, my early next level nugget, my super early next level nugget for this episode. If you have a 70% day today, that 70% might be 2 times what your 100% days used to be. That is really the season of understanding and awareness that I feel that I'm in. Today, it's Saturday, we're recording this on Saturday. I got up at 5, and I've been hammering. It's 4:20 as of the recording of this, and I have worked straight through pretty much. It's been awesome. Very productive, very productive. I got more done today than I used to in a week, for sure. Even though, and this is the challenging part, a lot of it's not measurable. A lot of it's not going to show up on a piece of paper. It's not going to show up on a spreadsheet. It's not going to show up as a dollar amount. It's not going to be recognizable tomorrow. So that's another important thing to understand, that sometimes the consistency that you're practicing remains to be seen because the results are days, months, weeks, and years behind. But the effort that you're putting in, it might be way more productive than it's ever been. And that is my early next level nugget for this episode.
So if you're a long-term listener, you know that we do something called peak performance tracking. It's just habit tracking in a Google spreadsheet. We also have an app that you can habit track on now as well, but we didn't start there. And if you're a new listener, now you know that. I've been coaching now for 5 or 6 years. I forget which. Probably in between there, 5 and 6 years. And I track habits. I always have in my coaching. I needed some sort of feedback loop. I needed to know that my clients were headed somewhere great. And habits the best way to do that. And so now that I've had some clients and team members for many, many years, what really is cool is that we end up with this graph in Google Sheets that looks like a staircase. And this is kind of how it works. So I'm going to use Brandon as an example. Shout out to Brandon. When Brandon first came on the team in December of 2020, he had never tracked habits before. And so we started him with, let's just, I don't know the exact numbers. I'm not in the spreadsheets right now, but let's say 9 habits, okay? We start him off with 9 habits. And let's say he's getting 60%, 70%, 75%, 78%, 72%, 78%. He's doing better, little worse, little better, little worse, little better, little worse, little better, little worse. But the trend line is up. So the slope of the trend line is up. In other words, he's doing his new worse is better than his old best, if that makes sense. But then what happens is every other week we jump on the phone, coaching. And I say, okay, I want to get rid of one. I want to change one. I want to add one. So then you're still at 9 habits, but then over time we add more than we get rid of.
Yeah.
Because eventually he starts getting to like near 100%. And at one point, I remember he was like 96%, 97%, 98%, because I aggregate this every other week. And once someone starts being in the high 90s for a really long time, I get frustrated. And it's like, listen, we got to up the ante. You can't squat the same weight and expect to get stronger. You can't lift the same weight and expect to get stronger. So let's up the ante. What else can we do? What else can we do? What else can we do? It can be very exhausting. But the point is growth. And if your system is easy, then it's time to up the ante. But when we up the ante, what we do is we add a couple new columns, add a couple new habits, and then redo it so that those all count as zeros. So that ultimately, and I remember in the beginning of coaching, people would be like, well, why do I get all zeros? Those are new habits. That shouldn't count. And I say, trust me.
I thought
you know
that
why?
for sure.
Because a year from now, when you look back, you're going to see a staircase graph of I want the graph to show what Kevin had originally opened this episode with, which is Brandon's old 80% is actually only 40% of his new run rate.
Mm.
And I swear to you, I could show a screenshot of this. A lot of my clients have this staircase going. I do too, myself included. Because what we do is we hide everything prior to the quarter that we're on, because we try to do 90-day increments, just like in group coaching. And when you unhide it, all of a sudden you see this whole graph, and you go back from 2020 all the way to 2023, tail end of 2023, and it's like, holy crap, look at this staircase. Look at where you started, and your old, let's say you got a 80%. That 80% is actually only 30% of your system now. And so it looks like a staircase, and I think that's a great analogy, because his new worst, least productive day ever is literally mathematically better than his old best day. And that is such a cool analogy for how much we can grow.
When I went back, it was wild. Going back to old posts, it was wild. But there was one thing that came off the page for me. We were very, very consistent. We were doing teaser clips every day or quotes every day. There was something going out every single day. And I also realized how different Instagram was back then. Just looking at the engagement, it was drastically different in 2017, 2018, which is weird. It was weird to look back on.
Instagram was the place.
It was the place back then. But it just really highlighted the fact that I definitely do more in a day than I used to in a week. That I'm certain of, 100%. Just because that's what's necessary now. It's not necessarily what I want to do. It's not that I chose to I did choose to put myself in that position, but that's just what's necessary.
Well, your goals require it.
Yeah. And as you get clearer on the goals, you get clear on the approach to accomplish the goals. That's the other thing. Back then, I didn't really know. I didn't really know what it was going to take. Transparently, there wasn't a lot going on back then. I didn't have a wife and, a household and cats and a business, and we didn't have a team. There was a lot of things going differently. But this is the point I want to connect. How do I say it? You might be doing 70% in one arena, and you might be doing 10% in another arena, and you might be doing 50% in another arena. You have to understand how the arenas are stacking up. So, as you know, the trials of Kevin's jiu-jitsu journey, I want to go to jiu-jitsu, but I'm thinking to myself, well, how do I figure out how to lift and do jiu-jitsu at the same time? I have to figure this out now. It has to be right this second. I cannot go another day without knowing what my schedule is going to be like. When in reality, the jiu-jitsu is 80% right now. And me going to the gym, I'm still doing that 4 times a week. That's still like 60% of what it used to be. So if you add the 80% and the 60% up, that's more than 100% if I was just doing 50-50. I know the numbers might not make sense. This is how I think of it in my brain. So for you, if you're out there, it might not seem like you're doing enough in one arena, and maybe you're not. That's always a possibility. but are you checking in with the other arenas too to figure out how much you're actually doing? That's really my second main point. I talk to clients about that all the time. Oh, we have this ready and we're ready for clients and we're ready for this. And I say, well, you're not posting on social media. So you might be doing more than you've ever done when it comes to this thing, but you're doing less than you've ever done when it comes to this thing. They're not going to even out. Everything has to be trending in the right direction to your original point. So just
if it's important.
If it's important, yeah. Just make sure you're checking in on health, wealth, and love. If we said health, wealth, and love specifically, are you trending in the right direction? And are you having consistent, let's just say, are you having consistent days? Because I would argue that consistent 50% days are better than spotty 90%.
Hello, my name is Eddie Pinero. I'm the founder of Your World Within, and I wanted to take a second and just express how valuable working with Alan has been. His ability to help me create clarity and maintain focus on my big picture goals has been huge. You know, he's been a huge asset with the roadmap as well. The day-to-day things, the little things that we sometimes overlook. I think anyone looking to, grow themselves, grow a business or both, would truly benefit from having Alan as an ally along the way. Again, great mind, but more importantly, solid dude.
Well, let's do the math. Let's do 2 weeks of data.
14 days?
14 days.
Yep.
Multiply that by, call it 70%, so 0.7. That's 9.8. Now, in the 14 days, what do you consider spotty? How many days? So, like, every other day?
I would just consider 70% every day versus 100% every day. You know what I mean?
No, I know. So I took 14 days and multiplied it by 0.7, which comes to 9.8.
Yeah.
Versus if you were to do 7 days straight. And then,
okay. I got you.
So if I do 1 times 7, it's only 7. Okay, let me explain. I apologize for being confusing here.
Math.
Imagine for 2 weeks, Kevin and I are up against each other, head to head. I do 70% every day in the gym, and he does 100% every other day. All right, so I take 14, I multiply it by 0.7, I get 9.8. He does every other day, which is only 7 days, times 1, which is 7. So I can crunch the math on how much quote-unquote better or more productive I am than you. Okay? Well, so let's do this. 9.8 divided by 7, multiplied by 100. I am 40% more productive than Kev. Even though I'm less.
Right.
That's the mathematical proof of what Kev's been saying about I would rather you do 70% consistency than 100% spotty. Yeah, and that's the mathematical proof of if him and I both go head to head for 2 weeks in the gym and I'm consistent and I'm consistent 70% and he's only every other day 100%, I am 40% more productive, mathematically speaking.
And it's momentum too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's
and self-esteem.
Yeah, when you what's a good example for this? Okay, think about it this way. I don't ever plan on owning a boat. Maybe you do. I don't know. Whatever. Boats are, I don't know. That doesn't really interest me that much.
Amelia loves sailing. She was a sailor, so we
Okay.
will have a sailboat, good sir.
So imagine this. Imagine you leave it in the water versus you take it out every single day. If you took the boat out every single day, you'd just never go, number one. Every time you used it, you just took it out. It's like, all right, let's put it in, we'll take it out. And if we want to use it next week, we'll put it back in, and then we'll take it back out.
Yeah, it's a ton of time and effort every time.
Versus you just keep it in.
You think we'll have like an NLU sale?
No.
No, probably not.
No, I don't think so. It'd be a weird thing.
I just pictured that.
It's a weird thing to have. The only thing I'm saying with that is it's very hard to build momentum. Like you're probably not going to be it would be really hard to be a professional fisher person if you're literally every day you have to go put the boat in. All right, let's take the boat out of here. Let's go put it in. We'll get everything set up, then we'll go. Versus someone who lives on a body of water and has a boat there. It's going to be way more likely that they're successful. Or why do you think I was watching a video on some snowboarder yesterday, and he won his first competition at 6. He was raised on a mountain.
Snowboarder.
I don't know who it was.
On it.
I don't know who it was.
Nothing.
I don't know. Well, he wasn't a good person. It's not like he was
Oh.
Yeah, he wasn't necessarily a good person. But
Okay.
he lived on a mountain. So
course.
he was there every day, right? So same thing. Even if he went and did 5 runs that day, and that was his 70%, that's probably 5 more runs than most other people were going to do on that day because they don't live on a mountain. So that's just my example.
So Kev, not valuable, but
Yep.
I meant like the NLU logo on the sailboat, not we're going to do an NLU sail, like we go out and sail for NLU.
No, you said on the sail, I thought is what you said.
Yeah. Like imagine in the wind, the
No,
NLU
I want it on
logo
the body
one
of the boat.
sails.
On the body of the boat.
I can't have it. I'm going to call it the SS Minnow Johnson. No, I'm kidding.
SS
I'm
Dingo Jones.
Yeah.
We could talk about it, We could talk. We could have a conversation
figure it out.
about it.
A little free marketing out there on the water.
We could have a conversation.
Maybe some other boats will listen to podcasts.
I'm sure the
It'd be good.
Dolphins will appreciate it. Yeah.
They will.
What's your next level nugget, man?
My next level nugget, good sir, is consistency. At NLU, we have 3 words that we value very deeply. Kevin and I had a argument about the syntax, the order of these words, but I actually agree with him now. And so, he was more optimal.
Clip that and save that somewhere.
Save that.
I'm gonna need that for proof in the future.
He was more optimal in hindsight. Emilia as well. I talked to Emilia about this, had a healthy Discord, talked to Kevin about this, had a healthy Discord, and then I eventually reluctantly gave in. So the 3 words are sustainability, consistency, and improvement. Sustainability is first for a reason, even though I was wrong about putting consistency first. So one of the reasons why this is my next level nugget. One of the reasons why I'd rather you do a 70% consistent day is because when you're shooting for perfect, you can't do it consistently. It's not sustainable. And if it's not sustainable, it's not going to work. It's just going to crush your self-esteem again. So Emilia and I, coming up on 2 years soon, I say soon, it's like 100 days out, but we've been exercising every day. But remember, we're only doing 30-minute walks every other day and then 45-minute weight training every other day. And at the beginning, it was only a half-hour weight training. So I'd rather you be consistent and sustainable and improve along the way than constantly do these starts and stops too hot out of the gate and then lose your momentum. So if you can't sustain it, don't start it.
An extra next level nugget. If you're living with an all or nothing mentality, understand that it's probably drastically easier to do nothing than it is to do all. It's easy to do nothing. It's hard to do it all.
That was real good.
I appreciate that very much. My next level nugget was better than your next level nugget.
Well, technically that was your second one, so.
Yeah, the first one was probably better too, though, I think, right? What was it?
No way.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, maybe.
It could be.
I don't know. It's for the listeners to decide.
I feel like we got lost in the math there a little bit, you and I. We're talking about the math.
40% more. That was good stuff.
Usually the way I do
numbers.
it, because I don't know. You're really good at dividing stuff. I don't really understand the whole division thing. Honestly, it's kind of escaped me. Usually I'll do, let's just say you do 70% days, 490%. 7 times 7 is 49. It's easy. It lands when I say it to people, I'm telling you.
Okay.
Or you do 4 100% days. Then you get 400% output.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't know.
As long
I don't
as
know
you
what
take the
numbers are.
percentage off of there, you're good. But you can't have 490%.
What if I want to?
Well, you can. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
I
a
appreciate
whole
that.
it's a whole mathematical debate. We're not going to get into it, but
Okay.
I think if it lands for people, do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my next level nugget, the second one was the best. That's agreed upon.
Of the 3 next level nuggets, I think the last one was the strongest, yes.
Nice. Okay. All right, next level nation. We're gonna go. We're getting a little loopy here on a Saturday. You can tell Alan and I. It's been one. It's been a wonderful week. It's been a wonderful week. Grateful, blessed. What's the word? Privilege, pressure. This is the pressure we asked for. So grateful for it. If you have not joined our private Facebook group, Next Level Nation, please do so. Amazing group of amazing people who want things similar to you. Dream chasers, people who are trying to figure out their ego, people who are trying to practice vulnerability, all of that stuff. It is a place where you belong. Link will be in the show notes.
Next Level University and all that we do is a safe space, to Kevin's point, of where it's okay to be struggling. It's okay to talk about your struggles, but it's also okay to succeed too. You know, it's safe to talk about where you're great and where you're struggling, which is really important. Speaking of which, we do monthly meetups every single month. This is our 24th meetup in a row.
Woo!
2 years.
2 years. Strong work.
That's the 2-year mark. This is going to be the 2-year mark. That's
Will
awesome.
we celebrate? Definitely not. Most likely, definitely not.
Get some roasted chicken. All right. That's my celebration. Love it. Love roasted chicken. 3 things holding you back from your, in all caps, version of success.
Yeah.
Okay? A lot of people think of success. They think of money. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what you believe is successful, aka your vision for your life in your unique flavor. The 3 things holding you back most from your unique version of success. The link to register will be in the show notes, and we hope to see you there.
Tomorrow, for episode number 1513, Alan doesn't know this, we're going to do an episode on an open conversation about heartbreak. So here's my thought. We did the open conversation about overwhelm. Maybe what we'll do is we'll name it something different after we record it. I don't know yet because I don't know where the conversation is going to go. So for now, it's an open conversation about heartbreak. When I was going through our old content, I just remember you and I had a lot of heartbreak back then, and we were talking about it a lot. So I feel like we could do a blast from the past and kind of check in on what happened, how it felt, and what it created. That is my goal for tomorrow's episode. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Stay consistent and sustainable. Next Level Nation.